Oh, good evening, everyone. We're going to do a couple different things tonight. Craft show season is coming quickly, of course. Of course, with the onslaught of craft show season, you always have some hops made ahead of time. So that's where we're going to start. We'll just make a couple, primarily because I'm too lazy to change chuck jaws. I normally set them when I get these blanks ready ahead of time. They're usually set for the smaller jaws, or this should say the standard jaws rather than although they're actually considerably bigger than these even. That's okay. It'll all work out just fine. Do have a little blank of walnut ready to go too. We have some other things we can be doing. Tops are a very good project, I think, myself, especially for somebody new starting out. It's kind of repetitive kind of work, but looks like I should actually probably start the day out like normal and actually just go sharpen. And I did do a little bit of work yesterday, very little. So we'll have a quick sharpen. Change the grinder. I also have my head in front of it. Still haven't made a, need to make some sort of a little jig. It can be as simple as a block of wood, really, that I could put on there and put it, could actually draw a line on there and just cut that circumference, and it would get close, close enough. There. Still have a tendency that don't have this thing of freehand sharpening nowhere near where I want it to be. What I end up with is a little bit of a bird's beak in there. I really don't like that. Another one of them things of more practice. And I think that was that. Nope, another way around. Thought I was right in my mind the first time, but I'd probably take the time to actually put a B or something beside down, signifying it's the bowl gouge, not the spindle gouge. Very even. That should be good enough. At least to get us started, anyhow. Yeah, I'll remember to go back. There we go. Yeah, let's see how true it runs. Not too bad, but we could have it a little bit better. I need it trued up really out here on this little bit of this end. The rest of it goes away anyhow. You'll get a bit of vibration when it's that far off the chuck if you're being aggressive. Cut right straight through center. Use a very sharp point. If I run the back of the tool over it, sort of feels like there's something there that maybe I don't want. Like a little bug hole. Can't have that. Bug hole is probably still there. Don't feel like there's any little bumps there now. There is. Definitely got to go back past that. The big one's gone. Tiny little one yet. tiny little remnants of it, but I don't think enough of it, enough to make it worry about it. Around this point over a little bit. This actually makes top spin. I never used to do that. Somewhere along the line I saw somebody do that. I'm like, that looks interesting. I'll shrink this one down a little bit in size. In diameter, not necessarily size. Probably could even be a little bit smaller. Maybe not. If I get it too long, then it becomes not what I want. There's a little excess. Sort of making some room. Really, all I'm doing is making room so I can get my texturing tool in there. The only sanding I do on these is right there. Just to make sure it's not sharp. I'll get some texture and some colors. Could have colored the outside. We'll do them all the color at one time. First, we're going to do some texture. This is one of the Sorby, the miniature texturing wheel. So it wants the speed to be very slow. The speed to be very slow. See if we got anything that looks reasonable. Sort of. See if we can get in there. Nope. Yeah. Just gonna have to live with it. It's been a while since I've done any of these, but black, blue, purple. I normally don't. So you can put some texture on the bottom of them. I'm used to doing these for more of a crowd kind of a thing. Do them at the Pennsylvania Farm Show. I've sort of taken to doing some of these at the craft shows. Not what you call a real big seller, but every little bit counts. So we did blue, purple, green. That's probably all we'll get on the back side. And bring the speed up just a little bit. And I get in here on this one. Of course, now I'm trying to figure out where my texture starts. A little point tool just to sort of separate these in here a little bit. At least this one. Just good enough. Blue again. This time we're going to just kind of lightly go over that edge. I'm going to get 3 colors. Not really. Get 2 colors. In here, I like to separate them a little bit with a little black line, just so that they have a separation. That should be good enough. See what it appears to look like. It's okay, I guess. I don't think there's, as far as I'm concerned, you can't hardly make one of these wrong. Here's where we have to have a very gentle touch. There you have it. One little top. A little color on the bottom. A little texture and color on the top. And we might as well do two of them. These little blocks come in kind of handy from time to time. As we don't leave this sharp point. So we'll get rid of that. I have a whole box full of this stuff. And they do come in very handy. Little jam blocks and such things. Of course, like anything else, you can end up with too many of them over time. This has got some, same deal, it's got some worms, friendly worms in it, I guess. I'm going to get below them. First order of business. I saw there was one on the surface, so if we can't get below that, still there. Not a whole lot of a point in going any further. There and there. That would be behind where they're at, so I guess we can cut this off. See whether there is evidence of it in the end. There's probably still evidence of it in the end, yep. Like very, very teeny tiny little holes. The thing of it is, they could still be there. And they're still there. Yep. Some days you just have to draw the line and say, nope, firewood. Oh yeah, there's one on the other end. That's one that got in there that shouldn't have got in there. This one shows no evidence, which is what we want. No bumps, so that's a plus. Good. Looks a little, might bit wider than normal. Yeah, that's almost 2.5. That'll just give me some extra room to texture. A little light cut to screw up that rim. Sort of a fair amount of waste when you do these, but let's say it's very good practice. Soften the edge. Just round the corner. Tiny little bit of sanding. Switch to our spindle gouge, and we'll get this down a little bit more yet. A little extra room for the texture. And drop our speedway back. This time I think we'll just texture it all the way around, just because we can. These texturing tools without the, actually I think the big one is still, oh no, the big one is here. I do have a big one, the real big Sorby one, that you can use at pretty much any speed, because it has a bearing. So we can speed that up a little bit. No, I don't want it. It's too high for that one. If you get it right in the center, towards the center, you can literally create a little bit of a, like a little bit of a flower. See if we got our flower. Yeah, sort of. So let's define so find some areas. Watch some people with the texturing tools that are really, really good at it. I am not necessarily that one, but it's got some texture. Not the texture one. We'll see if we can give it a red point to the flower petal. Now I'll speed it up a little bit. There. We need enough colors out. That's sort of the fun part if you do this as a demonstration when there's kids watching and things like that. And you can hand them the bag full of colors and tell them, pick out 3 or 4 colors or something like that. And makes it fun for them. How are you this fine evening? And I'll try and define those. A little black in between. Didn't do that on that side, but now we can. Ooh. This will just give it a black, total black rim. I'm going to do this for the show. This is like 5 hours worth of doing just this. And you got a whole bunch of kids sitting in front of you. Oh, wow. Well, not too bad. So if you're in Australia, it's already Sunday morning for you. That should be good. Down in there. Get rid of a little more material. These I switch back and forth from the bowl gouge to the spindle gouge. Well, I probably could use the other bowl gouge. It has a smaller bevel on it. Try that one. I would be in the Northeast, right around Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, just west of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. For that part up there, we definitely have to go back to our spindle gouge. Less wings in the road. It's kind of amazing how well balanced these were. This is starting to wobble a little bit, but that's probably only a 16th of inch of material left on there. Yeah, don't do that. Now it wants to come off. I'm just sort of steadying it a little bit in my hand. Spoke too soon. What I was trying not to do is end up with that little nub on the end. Not the end of the world, but it's much easier not to have that. Then you gotta cut it off and touch it up a little bit with sandpaper. A wreath of non-toxic refillable markers. Huh, that's kind of interesting. These are what I was actually using. Oh, since you really couldn't see it the other way. Yeah, try not to. Like I say, when we do this at their, we have what they call a farm show, and our turning club goes and does stuff like this. These markers are water-based. They're a Tombow marker that's water-based. So I would assume they're non-toxic. Don't really know that part of it. I know it'll come off on your fingers. Because so I'm done at the end of the day, I have rather colorful fingers. Because I'm touching them while they're still a little damp or wet, even. So the markers you have in the US, do they have the real fine point on them like that? That's kind of the parts that I like about those particular markers. It's very fine point. Uh, Maybe I should just trusted the hole was straighter than what my eye was, that's for sure. It's kind of a cheater's way of mounting something. I just drilled a, I think it's like a 2 1/8 inch hole. Who is your stockist? Put it that way. Who's stocking them in the U.S.? Put it that way. Mm, My wife would probably kill me if I said I was buying more markers, but I have a ton of them. Oh, okay. I don't know that I'd have a lot of use for the chisel tip part of it. Might. Don't know. Actually, I think first order of business, this has got some bark on the edge. These are out of some slabs that I got quite some time ago. I just now got around to sort of cutting some of these up. So until we get rid of the bark out here. Oh, I know Doug. He's part of the Wednesday night group for the Worldwide Wood Turners group. Yeah, know exactly who you're talking about. This is walnut. I can tell you right now, I'm going to turn the dust collector on. Walnut is not necessarily a good breathing wood, at least for me. I'm about half allergic to it. A little bit left there, still a little bit left there. You know, this would be a black walnut. When I get the bottom trued up, a little bit of a knot or something there. And that knot's just going to have to stay there. Now there's some worms. Pretty shallow dish to start with. And starting out at about 2 inches thick as it is. I would like to have a nice flowing curve. Still some unfriendlies. Sort of going to a lot bigger foot on some of this stuff. I was thinking something like this would look kind of interesting if it had a lid. So it might be too big. But if it's going to be more of a utility kind of a thing, still has some little unfriendly holes. I'm going to spin around here and clean up this top so that we know where we're going to. Tighten the tool rest, it does help. It still feels like there's a bumping going on there. Yep. I think we're around there. The flat. Yep. So now we know where we're going to. I'll take a little bit more, and that'll get rid of those. We'll just make them deeper. Not necessarily my day for the bugs to be showing up. That one's actually fairly deep. Coming in on an angle across here, and I'm assuming that's probably where it maybe like exits. Still there. Well, maybe we'll make it a bowl that curves the opposite direction. So that's got rid of them. So we just give it a little bit of a bead on the top, maybe. Might look all right. A little bit more of a place for it to grab onto with the chuck. I think that will do it. Just clean it up a bit. I need a little bit of a hole in there yet, but we're going to live with that. Yes, both. Instagram is would be Cap's Creation. Facebook is under Kirk Cap. Um, some picked up green there. Oh, that's better. Straight edge, make sure we are. Oh, always pays to double check that. We're a little high in the center. Get it out with that way. Don't move too far. Yeah, it does have. It's got some. This has some sapwood in it, which kind of gives them a bit of character in some ways. There's daylight in the middle, not much. I thought I charged my mic the last time, but it's beeping at me. Not a good sign. Don't show that it's not. Trying to make sure I get it below there and less standing, of course. That should work. Some of this we'll have to sand with just sheet sandpaper. I should be able to sand most of that with the drill, power sanding. That's the sharp edge off this rim. We'll make this into a bead, more of a bead shape. I just find it a little easier just to, I knock the corners off with the tool, just as easy and definitely is just as quick, if not quicker than trying to mess around trying to cut the perfect bead up on a rim like that. Let's make sure we can get the sander in where we need to get it. Kind of lazy when it comes to some of that stuff. The only problem is going to be up there at the very edge of it. That seemed to work pretty good though. I really like to sand in reverse. It does a better job on dust collection, but can't quite get in up there where I want to get in. And actually, that's might actually be big enough to get pretty much everything with the power sanding, which is the ideal way as far as I'm concerned. Nobody really likes to sand. I guess that's going to look all right with a little bit of a lip in there. Wasn't totally sure on that one, but seemed to look okay. I'm ahead of myself. Getting sand in here. Wipe the dirt off. It is worth a couple seconds to do that because stop and think about how many times you stand in a piece, get to the end, whatever grit you stand to, and you come back and say, well, I missed some sanding scratches of a finer or a coarser grit. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but somebody that did a whole lot more of this in their lifetime than I did says it's because you're left a little bit of grit behind. It come off your sandpaper and it's stuck to the surface. So you take that couple seconds to wipe it off, and now it's gone. You know, paintbrush, paper towel. So that's pretty much our outside done. If I knew I was exacting enough on my tenon, I don't know that I have that one set quite as well as what it should be. I could actually finish this bottom and then grab it and go from there. But like I say, I'm not super confident in that one. I haven't worked that much with the the 4-inch jaws. So we'll just flip it around, do the inside, and then we'll sort of go from there. Salisbury, you can appreciate that. That's Vic Mark Chucks, made in Australia, of course. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I got started using these a long time ago. When I first, very shortly after I got started turning and buying a professional wood turner. He's like best on the market. Well, we'll see if we got an edge left on the bowl gouge. start with. At least get rid of some of this ugly stuff. Move my dust collector over that way a little bit. And I think we're going to go back and sharpen. And get rid of some of this before that. There's where all the dirt's living at, because this is air dried material. Okay. Enough of that playing around. Sharp tools. I don't think, comes right down to it, I don't think there's any U.S. manufacturers of chucks anymore. Sharp tools, or dull tools are dangerous. Right there, them last couple cuts on this gouge, it was getting dull. You're starting to have to push harder on it. So the likelihood of pushing too hard on things, you cause yourself more trouble than what it's ever worth. And it only takes a couple seconds to sharpen. Some people like to put a fresh edge on for the last cut. You can. We'll get rid of a little bit of the heel of this. It's going to be a pretty tight radius in there. I don't. There's plenty of sharpening systems out. I can't say that one myself. I can't say that there's one that's really stands out above the rest. I have a Stream Deck. Yeah, it's a Stream Deck. My son-in-law is the computer guru. But yeah, I have a Stream Deck. As long as I remember to push a button like I was being a good boy and push it right there. I've done enough of these live streams or even trying to record a video and I forget to switch back, especially when I go over there to grind. Now I'll have to make some decisions whether we want what we want to do up there at the rim, but the first order of business, we're going to get rid of some more of the center material. We have a place to go. The thing that took the edge off of the tool The two tops to get started and use both of them, but yeah, it's a lot easier than messing around with a keyboard. Take all your oops subtitles good? No. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Off camera, it's definitely a different word. Although I've seen not so much on YouTube, but some of the people that do live streams on Twitch, they don't really care what they say. Keep in mind, Now that my brain's telling me I should be keeping that in mind. I have that indentation where I made the foot, which it actually sounds like it actually is thin right there. It's definitely changing tunes. And I don't have one of them. Well, I might. I think mine's too thick. One of your fellow Aussies. Yeah, it does go in there. Yeah, it's a bit thin. Thinner than what I want it to be. A little thinner than what I want it to be. And I don't have the curve I want. I think we'll get it. If not, we just wasted an hour's worth of time, but still doesn't necessarily look like it's the curve that we're looking for, but right there, that shouldn't be thin now. I guess we could go after it with the bowl scraper a little bit. Don't do anything else in there. I think that's got it. The rest is going to be a little bit of sanding. Just means we'll start with 120 instead of 150. Not really much of a big deal. I think that's still going to be the 2-inch rather than the 3. I think we might try the 3 though first. We'll try it. So I was afraid there'll be a place right out in there that it's not not really going to touch because the radius is different. Nope. Anything I could do try the softer pad. And it's got the majority of it. Pure end grain in one little spot. Should be on both sides, but it's really only on one. So that seems to work, so we'll just keep using the big one. I'll go through the grits there. Promptly knocked my sandpaper when it ships, which is dull anyhow. Just about there. That's right through 400. I'm gonna grab a piece of 600. Either stop at 4 or 6. You know, some people want to sand through 800,000. I just find it's a little much. So it's pretty much complete, ready for some finish. Gonna take it out of the chuck one time. See whether it's, I got about 1/8 of an inch gap in between there. It did leave tiny little marks in there, so I'm gonna have to deal with them once I flip it around. But I might as well go ahead and finish the inside, and then we'll probably just call it a day on that one for that one. Because then what I'll do is hold it in the chuck, and I'll put this up against a vacuum, use a vacuum chuck to hold this, and then I can sand or even cut a little bit of that area up there and touch that up before I finish the outside. Unfortunately, what I use to finish with, I can't do that, especially the vacuum part, because I finish with a slow setting super glue, so it will not cooperate. Walnut's a very dirty wood though. Try and get as much of it out as I can. Leaves the dust behind. Paper towel really does wonders. I mean, it might be absorbent on other liquid things, but it does a really good job on your wood products too, as far as to get rid of the dust and dirt, especially in any of these cracks and crevices up here. Gloved hand, of course, because it is a super glue. Just because it starts slowly doesn't mean it won't stick your fingers together. I put a little piece of polyester felt in the paper towel, and it gives me like a little, sort of like a little applicator pad. The product is the Parfix 3408. I know you Aussies have never heard of such a thing, probably, but it is here in the States. Nice liberal coat. What we're trying to do is fill up the pores of the wood, and then we will wipe the excess off of it. We have 40 seconds to get our job done. Doesn't sound like a lot of time, but it's more time than what you would ever imagine. You don't need to be in some giant sized race. The wood has to be dry though. You can't use it on any kind of damp wood or any wood with any real moisture in it. Because super glue sets up in the presence of moisture.
Turned in AUS. Said, missed the brag.
This is a Parfix 3408. That's what was beeping at me. My headset, or my earbuds went dead. Okay. I'll show you here in a second. Let me wipe this. What I'm doing is going to wipe the excess off. And basically, we're going to wipe it to where it's almost dry to the touch. As you can see, we're still pulling off dirt. So we can't leave this on the, contrary to like most pen finishers and things like that, build up layers and layers of super glue. This is a one coat application. And all we're doing is trying to fill up the pores of the wood. And we could go to just that view instead, since that's where it's all at. So it looks like it's pretty much dry. You certainly can't over dry it, because if we leave any of this sitting on the surface, it just beads up.
Yeah, not heard of it. I use another American one, Bob Smith Industries.
I've never heard of that one. Yeah, I'm a distributor of this. If you order Caps Creations on the web, it's a little bit harder to find. That's why I became a distributor of it, because I really like it for a natural finish. It's very simple, very quick. We'll hit it with a little bit of activator. They even make their own activator, which is a heptane-based activator rather than an acetone-based. So, no odor. Super glue has no odor as well. No odor, and it's a slow setting. And it's a very pure super glue. It's designed and made for the medical and cosmetic industry, is what they make it for. But us wood turners can get a hold of it and use it. It has a 24-hour cure time, so I won't do anything more to that piece till sometime tomorrow, if I'm really lucky tomorrow. There's probably too many things going on tomorrow to do that. So we'll go back overhead. It's got some character to it. It's got some dark streaks in it. It's dry to the touch now. And then we'll do... Yeah, see, there's where I was concerned, is when I mess around. Not necessarily used to doing this. I'm following one of your fellow Aussies on some of this stuff, and that's Richard Raffin. Likes that detail on the bottom of his stuff.
Turned in AUS. Said, acetone breaks down super glue.
Yes.
Wouldn't that defeat the purpose?
Um,
Repurposing. Said, what would again, please, Kirk?
This is black walnut. This is American black walnut. This is out of a slab, a 2-inch slab that I bought a bunch of them. This is sort of a crotch piece. I actually have another one. It's kind of getting late. This is kind of a, I don't know if it'll show this very well or not. We're still there.
Said repurposing. Said, Richard is brilliant.
He's got some interesting ways of doing some things. This is out of a crotch piece here. It does have the flame on that side, but it does not, definitely doesn't go to the other side. So this is going to be the same scenario. There's a little bit of worm activity, so this one will be considerably smaller than what it was, but is what it is. Price was right. I got it very, very cheap for that kind of stuff. So, like I said, this will have to cure, because if I was to take this now, put it back in the chuck, I have an adapter for the chuck to go in the tailstock. I could bring that directly up onto a vacuum chuck, and it'll spin true enough to be able to, they're not very deep little notches that it put in there, so probably maybe just a little bit of 180 in that groove, or even
just a tiny little cut with like a spindle gouge or something like that to clean those off, sand that a little bit, and then we'll finish the outside of this. I could actually do every at that point, before I flip it around, I could, well, this is walnut, so normally I use a pyrography pen to sign the bottom of it, put the wood and my initials on it, but this being walnut, it's going to turn somewhere between those two colors, so chances of it showing up is kind of like slim to none, but that's what it is. It's very simple to use. Unfortunately, it's not in your part of the country, and I would venture a guess and say that it would be terribly expensive for me to try and ship it there. I would assume. Never tried that one, but it would be, probably would not be very economical, put it that way. But if you ever come to the States for a symposium or something like that, you might be able to get it that way. What was I going to do? Where's my other? Bear with me a second. Got another bit of a science project. This I did, I think, this one on a live stream too. This one was kind of a pain in the you-know-what-ski. This is also a crotch piece. This was actually very dry. Been around for years. Got some beautiful figure as far as the crotch goes. Tiny little bit of a knot there that I had to fill a little bit. But on the back side it had this sort of a, I don't know, it was like almost like a little branch went through there. There's little dark speck or light specks in there, or places that I filled. This is also finished with the same thing. This one's actually is ready to buff.
Retail is the only option for us, and it's not cheap. Have made a few pence out of it. Couldn't believe how soft it was.
Right. Well, there's all kind of manufacturers of I assume you're talking about the super glue. Yes. I'm sure there's some of the same ones over there that you could find here, but when it comes to I don't know, we would call it the different brands or the specialty brands like that. Yeah, unless there's somebody that would want to be a distributor or something in there, you're not going to find it. So we're going to try and bring this little guy to life. Just a standard Beal buffing system. This is the white diamond wheel. Product I'm going to use on it is called Vonex. That comes out of the UK.
Black walnut I was talking about, sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, black walnut for me, really for me, in some ways. I'm on the east coast of the U.S. and it's actually a pretty common tree. I actually even have one in my backyard, but anywhere you are in the world, I mean, everybody has their own native trees and such. You're not really missing much with the black walnut. And granted, it is kind of pretty in color, especially if there's a little bit of sapwood in it. Otherwise, it's just kind of a dark chocolate brown in color. And like a lot of other woods out there, if you're somebody that likes to be a little bit scientific, you can look up the toxicity of woods, any kind of wood in your native area, and find out, you know, how toxic it is, what's toxic about it. And the black walnut is one of them that's actually fairly high. And of course, it's like everything else, it's not necessarily going to be toxic to you versus me. But for me, that's why the dust collector was running the whole time. Even though the noise canceling does a pretty good job. But that's all I have to do to them. Now, since I filled so many of these areas, I see some little places where I'm going to have to go back. I'll go back and sand just a little bit in that area because I filled a crack, so I didn't get it sanded back smooth. But when I sand this, I sand it with either 400 or 600, maybe even depending on how bad it would be. You could even go to 800. Got to get it in the light in the right place just for me to even see it. There's just tiny little area that it's not smooth. So if I just do a little circles, it's going to clog sandpaper up because it is plastic. I can just do little random orbit circles around there and try and get it back as I move it around under my lights. I'm looking for places like right there as a little extra shiny spot. So that's a place there's a little extra material there. The temptation would be to go back over that with more super glue, but you don't have to, because all we're doing is sanding off the excess on the top. So now we should be able to go right back to the buffing wheel. Now get it back in the light where I can see it. And we'll just rebuff that area. And it should bring it right back, eliminate those little places where it was reflecting the light differently right there. Glass smooth, that's the wonders of it. I mean, there's little places just like there that you may go back and sand very lightly. There'll probably be more on the back than anywhere else because of what I was doing back there. But that's the shine that you'll get out of that with one coat. That's what really drew it to me. I mean, I'm getting ready to retire in about another week and a half. But up until then, I work around 50 hours a week and also work about a half an hour from my house. So my 10-hour day becomes 11 or better from leaving for work and getting home from work, I guess you would call it. So I don't have a lot of time, and that's what sort of attracted me to this. And not to mention finishing round objects. I've built furniture and cabinetry type work on the side since I was very young. All that stuff gets sprayed. But something like this I could spray very, very simply and very easily. But when it comes to a bowl of traditional shape, I never mastered. I gave up on it, and then I found this stuff, and I'm like, well, there's my simple-minded finish, and it's very durable. It's plastic. You're filling the wood up basically with plastic, so it's rather durable. Quick and easy. You know, if you're putting any kind of an oil finish on or something like that. Of course, the really, truly easiest one would be the the Raffin special of the beeswax. I teach some classes at our local woodcraft store in wood turning, and that's my choice of finish for those classes, just because it's so simple. Nobody has to wait around for something to set up or dry, and the people seem to like it. You know, it's a lot of the wood that I get there, or almost all of it, is cherry, is a Pennsylvania cherry, and it's very, very susceptible to the beeswax. Gives it its nice, rich, dark red color. So what I do is I'm looking at my bright lights right in front of me. Is I kind of spin that around, and my fingers. Your fingers tell all. And feel for any place, like right up in here, up in this area. I can feel there's some little something or other. A couple ways around it. Just a tiny little bit of sanding and very light pressure on that up in there. Feel back over it. That's gone. So is that. Especially on something like this where you're getting out here and it's, you know, a little bit of end grain. I finished this side, maybe got some up over onto this side. Because it does not, that particular one in the super glue line, it does not play well with itself. Meaning that if I was to go over something a second time, it can't soak in, so it doesn't know what to do. It just kind of like sits there and beads up. So it will not dry smooth. So once everything is smooth, and I'm happy with that, which it seems okay, then we can go one step further and put a little bit of carnauba wax on it. And that will bring the shine up a little bit higher. This is not a high shine finish. It's more of a semi-gloss, high satin, something along those lines. Simple block of carnauba. It's on a very soft wheel. And the speed is slower. I was buffing around 1700 RPMs. Now I drop back down to about 900 RPMs. Because you do not want the carnauba wax to get too hot and melt, or you have a whole different world of a problem. Because it will not, once again, it does not smooth itself out or anything like that.
Salisbury crafts. Zip. That's coming up noise.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's very simple.
Salisbury crafts.
That's it. It's done. It's ready to put on the shelf and hopefully sell. Actually, that piece is, well, everything's always for sale. But the reason I wanted the little flat plate was right there. I want to be able to take that when I go to the craft shows, to be able to sit that beside the the bowl full of tops. Because everybody say, well, do they spin? And I'm like, well, of course they spin. But now they would have a place to spin. So that's really what that piece was made for. I know it sounds like a little bit of a waste of a nice piece of wood, but what, the bottom line is, what are you going to do with a flat plate? It only started out at about maybe 1.25 inches thick. I'm going to guess that it's probably 3/4 might be pushing it. I would say it's probably 5/8 in this general area as far as overall height. And no, I don't have it. I know you Aussies use it in metric, but it doesn't have metric on there. But yeah, that's a very simple process. So, but I think that's going to be it for me tonight. I know you guys are just getting started in your day, but my day is getting to be about done. And we try and do this pretty much every Saturday evening. There is once a month that I will not do it on a Saturday.
19 millimeters LOL. Turned into US.
Yeah.
Draw card that attracts people isn't a waste. Great play. Salisbury Crafts. Said. Look up Bailey Woodworks. He used my colors to color majority of his tops.
Okay. You say there's a distributor in the U.S. of your, what do you want to call them? Markers? Colored markers? Colored pens? Refillable colored pens? What would they be listed as in the U.S.? As a refillable marker? Artist marker?
Sid's repurposing. Said. Just made a couple of plates myself. I find they sell well.
Okay.
Salisbury Crafts. Said. Yes, Doug spun wood round.
Oh, he's carrying them for you? Okay. I'll look that up. Yeah, I'll check it out. Like I say, 3 out of 4 Saturdays, at least for now, is where we're at. Saturday evening. I know it's Sunday morning for you guys, but for me it's a Saturday evening. The one Saturday evening I do not do it is the Saturday that I teach classes, which is once a month, and that will be next weekend, next Saturday. Anything possibly there would be a Friday night rather than a Saturday morning. But once I retire, then I should be here either Saturday or Sunday, something like that. I haven't quite figured out which we're going to do. Bring you along for the mess. I try not to do the same thing every week, but a lot of times it has to do with more about what I need to do, as far as, like, for me, I have about a month till and we only do 2 craft shows a year, but I like to have lots of little stuff. I had some little scraps of the same black walnut left over. So make some little
Could be my new church session on a Sunday morning. LOL.
There you go. Yep. Nothing wrong with that. So, yeah. I make lots of little mushrooms. There's the other thing I make is trees, which I don't have a whole lot of them made either, but they're not, you're not going to get rich making any of them, but it's a good use of small scraps of wood. Actually, I wish I had a small. Hold that thought. I know what I was gonna do.
Salisbury Crafts. Sid, you could check out Sid's repurposing. He's been using my colors as well.
Any other time I have lots of little boards laying around here that I could follow your fellow Aussie in Richard Raffin's doing the, what's he call them, a spatula. But of course, I don't seem to have a little scrap of wood. Oh, yes, I do. Because I have to make some of the beeswax and mineral oil for a class.
For the stream, Kirk, I have to get the day started.
I understand that all too well. And thank you for stopping by. Yep, thank you very much. I don't think I want to do it with that one. Yeah, well, we're just going to call it a day. If I can find my keyboard. Well, until next time, you all have a wonderful week and stay safe in your shop.
Sid's repurposing. Sid, at Turned in AUS is using some Salisbury craft stain in the next video on Wednesday. Even if it is purple.
Now, unfortunately, I work on well,
Salisbury crafts. Sid, I will have another stockist in Carolina at the start of next year. Sid's repurposing. Sid, thank Kirk, I will be back.
Okay, well, you're quite welcome. Yeah. What time of day is the stream on Wednesday?
Salisbury crafts. Sid, thank you, take care.
Copy that. I will. And thank you all for coming and chatting. It's been a good night.